Yes, guys, welcome back. Yeah, it's the Track and Field Agenda. And once again, I'm joined by Fanfletics TV, fantastic Fanfletics TV, who's in the house with us again to discuss the last two nights of athletics at the Olympics. And it's been crazy, crazy, crazy. Let's go. Yeah, welcome back to Track and Field Agenda. Wow, we wait 4 years for this, and I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed so far. Greetings to you, Fanfletics. Welcome back. How's your day been? Before we get into track and field and sports, just tell me how your day's been, man. What you been up to, bro?
Well, I've been on a mad one the last few days, having a great time, just enjoying the summer and trying to fit in watching of the Olympics because this is what I'm here for. It's the highlight of my 4-year cycle, and the fact that it's here, I couldn't be more happy. So yeah,
it's been another great couple of days, hasn't it? Since Sunday night, we covered the 100 meters, but there's been so many events been going on since then. Today, we plan to go through as much as we can and just touch on the big events. And there's been some exciting races and jumps and world records as well over the last couple of days. So let's get started. Let's get into this, because it's late. I don't want to keep you guys up all night. I'm going to start with a long jump. Did you see the long jump final tonight?
No, I'm actually still watching tonight's, and it's a terrible letdown. But I had to do a lot of rewatching with that 200 final and with that the steeplechase final, which is wicked. So yeah, but I saw a couple of the jumps, and no surprise, obviously, in the winner, he's always able to pull it out when he needs to. I'm really excited for Simon Ahammer, obviously a former decathlete. That's my event as well, and then moving up or taking his strongest point and going with it with the long jump. So I'm really happy for him. 820 is solid. Falani as well, really happy for him. I'm glad he's got on the rostrum because he's an upcoming new talent for Italy. Italy becoming the European powerhouse in sports, and they're hitting it across the board. So yeah, really happy for him as well. Happy for Wayne Pinnock as well. Obviously, he's been jumping some far jumps, hitting 840s, 830s this year. So I'm really happy he's managed to translate that onto the actual the final event. And Jacob Fincham-Jukes, there was issues around his qualifying, at our last championships this year. He's been working really hard. He's made no secret of how much he wants to get to a final, wants to get to a big championships, and wants to perform. 5th place, 8:14. I think he's acquitted himself quite well.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you've covered everything there. I didn't include the others who were just under 8 meters. There's a Chinese guy as well, just jumped over 8 meters as well. But wow, I think with the long jump, when we look in history, I think Carl Lewis used to go out and say, let me get my best jump in first and then sit back, put my feet up and watch everyone else struggle to get close to that sort of jump. But what happened in the first round is this young 19-year-old Italian, he jumped 8 meters 34, and that really set the tempo for the tournament, for the whole event. Most definitely, I was thinking, wow, what a way to start your event, to go out there and do a leap, which would have won in 2012. I think that's quite a big jump by the young man. Definitely, as you said, Italians definitely look like a powerhouse. So how do you think, what's the best way to go about it? Because obviously you want to put your best jump out first, but you don't want to leave it to the last jump because I think fatigue plays a part after the 6 jumps. Wouldn't you say?
I think it does. I think once you get to jump 4 and 5, it's sort of that now or never. You start to get a bit tight, but you do see a lot of the big performers are able to get that adrenaline going and are able to use that and jump off of it. So sometimes when you're jumping in the 6th round and you're in battle with somebody, sometimes that can help. But I think that if you're trailing and somebody's hit out a really big one and they're one of the favorites in the first 2 rounds, like in this one, Falani in the first round, 8:34. Tentopoli in the second round jumped the winner, which was 8:48. At that point, everybody else is getting tight. And if you look down the results, after that, Simon Ahammer jumped less and less and fouled. After that, Jacob Fincham-Jukes fouled and then jumped to 7.64. After that, Pinnock didn't hit again, except for the 8.24 and 10.5. So the pressure's on them and they've tightened up. And I think that was the two favourites or the two longest jumpers of the year, Fulani and Tentoglou. I think that's what they did. They did that on purpose, and it worked.
Once again, we're seeing performances when it matters. You work all year round to compete on this day, and it looks like these top three definitely pulled it out of the hat. So like you said, their second jump, the Greek champion, 2 times Olympic champion now. I think he's only the second person to do that after Carl Lewis. He would go down as one of the greats of all time, even though his PB is not up there with like towards 9 meters. I think his PB is about 860 maybe, but still you have to win the competitions, and he's been consistent over the last few years. And obviously there's a Jamaican guy, I can't remember the name now, he jumped 870 or something a couple of years ago. I was looking out for him, but I don't think he's around anymore.
Patrick L, he jumped to 860 something.
860, okay, well there you go. I don't know what's happened to him, but long jump, not in its best era right now, I would say. I've seen better times with more guys jumping 850s, but you have to give credit to the Greek, 2-time Olympic champion now, so he should be proud of himself, and he will go down as probably a legend. Wouldn't you say?
I think he would. I think definitely a legend. He's able to pull it out when it counts, and I think when you talk about long jump not being in its heyday, I think for younger viewers, they definitely say, well, since we've hit the 2000s, this is an up and coming period. This is the first time many viewers are seeing people jump over 850, over 860. And I think because of that, it's coming back up. And I think we're in a nice period. Tentoglou is forcing people to reevaluate what they think should be their PB.
Before I come back to the long jump, I just want to say big shout out to Colin. How you doing? He says big up to Yaba and FANT, which means obviously
Don't start abbreviation. Don't start abbreviating.
You've become so popular, they're breaking it down. Big up to Sasiguna again, one of our regulars out here. And anyone else, there's 5 people watching right now. Give us a comment. Let us know what you think about what you're seeing today. Is my brother on here? Whoever's watching, give us a comment and we'll respond to you. So Sasiguna saying here, Canada double golds men, women's hammer throw podium as well. Now, I am not really an expert on the throws and the hammers and things like that. So this is new to me. I don't know if we're going to discuss that. And we've got 200-meter women. Yeah, we will discuss that very soon. And obviously, that Hocker, he's coming. We talk about that. Massive results today. We're going to talk the 1500 meters. We're going to talk Keely. We're going to talk the 200-meter women as well. Before we get to that, I don't know if you guys saw this, but we know the 400 meters. We mentioned Keely winning the gold for Great Britain, and the other guy would be Matthew Hudson-Smith winning gold for 400 meters. Now, do you want to discuss this? I thought it was looking good for him. He's run the fastest time this year, but as you know, everyone peaks in the Olympics, and I want you just to have an overview of this. This is the semi-final today for athletics. Semi-final number 1. What do you think of this? 43.95. Quincy.
I was really impressed, and I'm looking back. I'm thinking back now to seeing it. I'm thinking I really felt like beforehand he was the one who was the true danger, and I said it. I called it. He's definitely that ragged style that carries him forward is dangerous. And when you're running against people who are front runners or people who are going to stay out there, that's dangerous in the final 50, especially when it's from somebody whose style is unpredictable. You can't predict when he's going to hit his top pace, but you know that however ragged he looks and however out of kilter he looks, he's still going to come through with one of his top moments in the race in that last 50. So if you're a front runner like Matthew Hudson-Smith, that's the person you're worried about.
And he's on form. He's running into the final with a 43.95 to qualify. I just want to say my favorite current person in athletics came second, Dream Richards of Trinidad. What an athlete. I just think when I think about someone who's refreshing, who's clean, I just think he's just clean. He runs 20 seconds for 200 or 19 something. He runs a great 400 as well. I love his style. He's been around for a few years now, and I've always wanted him to medal. I always wanted him to do well. When the Trinidad 4x4 won, he was, involved. He was the guy who pulled them back into it, and he was a 200-meter running back then. But thank God he's in the final, and I will be rooting on Dream Richards. What a great person and great athlete he is. All right, so Quincy Hall, Dream Richards in 44.33 is not the best times. from Dream. I don't know if he's going to medal, but at least he's in the final. Second semi-final, have a look at this. Unbelievable. Karani, where have you come from, young man? 43.78. What is going on?
Listen, Cavani's no stranger to the podium. You know, he backs up his podiums and he's able to, when he's in shape, come through. And again, another person with a ragged, forward-leaning style. Cavani James, my favorite 400-meter runner of the last few years, and I'm so glad that he's back to what I would say is near his best. You know, he's definitely running consistently now towards the front of races. His top-end pace is back. I think that Cavani James is definitely, for me at the moment, looking at how things are going, I'd say he's one of the favorites. Definitely, if not,
well, it must be. I did not see this time coming. All season, he hasn't run. He's run 44s all season, and nothing impressive. Obviously, that's close to his personal best. It's a season best for sure. But I never saw this coming. 43.78 from Karani James. Remember, this is going back. He's an Olympic champion from 2012. Would it be?
London 2012. Yeah,
that's right. And you know, obviously he's had to deal with Van Niekerk and these guys coming through, but he's still hanging around. And at the moment, as Fanfletics boldly predicted there, he is got to be regarded as one of the favourites. How did he pull out this time? I've watched him all season. I thought I would never consider him, even for a medal. I was struggling to think that. We did damn thing saying here, James is coming into form at the right time. That's right. Peaking at the right time. And you should be peaking as well, because we want to see you on the show. We did the damn thing. We hope you're coming on very soon. Sassy Guna says Grenada, no doubt about it. Colin saying here he can run quicker than I can get out of bed. And big up to DA. DA, how you doing? He says, love both your channels. Keep it up, boys, with the knowledge and the rundown, 100%. Enough respect to you. Keep the comments coming in, guys. But wow, I'm drooling over this. This final's going to be massive. You got the American in the first heat qualifying 43.95, and now Karani James is going to give these other guys sleepless nights. They'll be thinking, where the hell did you come from? You know, and he says the small island called Grenada. Just on a funny tip, did you see the women's triple jump champion correct the presenter who called her island? What'd she say? Dominican. Yeah, she called it. Said you're a Dominican runner as jumper, but she said no, I'm from Dominica.
Yeah,
that was really really.
Yeah,
funny.
but you've got to correct people when they get it wrong, because you might only get that one chance, and what people keep in their mouth is what they put out forever. So if you have the chance, correct people. Like when they spell your name FANT, you say, "Yo, it's Fanfleck." I appreciate it.
All right, so that's the second semi-final.
Hold on 1 second. I want to talk about Samakonga. Now, Samakonga's been coming for a few years, and he's been dangerous. And they were talking about him 2 years. We were talking about him 2 years ago. And I really feel like when you run a national record in the semi-final, that's what you're there to do. You're there to say, right, I'm going to do everything I need to do to get into the final and show these top guys that I'm one of you. We are together. I'm one of you. So he's just done that with that national record. I'm really happy for him. Another one with a ragged style. This 400 final is going to be all over the place. I'm telling you.
There was a guy who used to run the 400 hurdles from Zambia way back in the day. I can't remember his name now, but I used to love him. He was medaled and always up there competing. It will come to me soon. But Zambia, this guy, I forgot to mention him. You're right. We're running 43.81. It's got to be the third or fourth fastest time this season, and doing it at the right time as well. What a final are we in store for, bro? This is going to be exciting. Guys, in the comments, do not miss out on this 400-meter final. It's going to be outstanding. Just quickly go back to the comments. James is coming into form at the right time. You're damn right. Remember, and don't forget that Grass in the 200 and Christopher Morales Williams in the 400 are the picks. Let's go to the third semi-final. If you want to talk about Christopher Morales Williams, we'll be there very soon. And we got Colin saying here, so much respect for these athletes. I would still be running now. And we did damn things. Said, it was an amazing watch. Loved her history of the island, no doubt about it. And correction here, Dominican Republic and Dominica. I swear I would never get it wrong if I'm going to get corrected like that and cussed out when these Caribbeans, a bit like you, Fanfletics. I mean, I've seen you cuss some bad words when you turn all patois. Speaking of which, happy Independence Day to Jamaica. And unfortunately, they're not having the best of games right now. But yes, all you Jamaicans out there, Enough respect. Let's move on to the third semi-final. And you wanted to know about Christopher Morales Williams?
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Sassy Guna, can you see him? Can you see him? Don't forget Christopher Morales Williams in the 400. That's your pick. He didn't qualify, as you can see, 45.25. He came 8th, unfortunately. I think he just, we saw it. Anyone who saw this would know this was a top draw race. Matthew Hudson-Smith, he's shut down at 350. Michael Norman, former champion, came in second place and qualified with 44.26. So he's not in the best of form. But if he was in his best form, I think he's got a PB, hasn't he? Of something like 43.50. Is that right? Michael?
Is he 43? I'll have to look at that up. But yeah, he's got a high.
Yeah. So what do you think of Matthew Hudson-Smith? Did you actually see him shut down and take it out and shut it down? Is he still looking favourite for you?
Yeah, to me, I'd say he's definitely looking like he's got the speed and endurance for the end of the race, and he's holding it, and he's making sure that everybody knows that he's got it there. He's doing it. Those are the mind games that they play. How soon can I shut it down? How soon can my face look composed? And how soon can I jog across the line, leaning back without getting run out of it? Like what happened to one of our juniors recently, one of our teens coming up. We'll talk about him on another video. You've got to run sensibly. You can shut down, but you got to make sure no one's coming past you. Sherika knows about that. Make sure no one's going to run you down in the last few meters, but at the same time, make sure everyone knows that you're holding something back. And I was very impressed. I was more impressed, to be honest, with Michael Norman, because to see him coming back to form and being able to also not go all out and show a little bit of, well, I can also calm down at the end and show you that I've got something left too. I'm excited. This is one of those championships where I think the big names in the men's four have got to the final. I will say, though, I'm disappointed in Nene and Scotch. These are people that have been running, fast times. I think Scotch was second in the world at one point this year. They've been running fast times all the way through. And then, when it comes down to it, they haven't been able to perform. That's a bit disappointing. But first two, the top two, we're happy about that. That's what we wanted.
Well, like you said, it's about mental fortitude at this stage. And I do think Karani stepping it up like that and running that time, he has to be considered now. And it's about, we're going to go into the 1500 now. And this is a great leeway into that. We're going to pass the baton to you in a sec. But Matthew Hudson-Smith, he's been focusing on the American, I'm sure, because of the times this year. Now, all of a sudden, he has to start dreaming about and having nightmares about Karani James. And it changes your whole focus, I believe. And this is why I think building up to the 1500 guys, this is what Josh Kerr said. It was all about Josh Kerr and Ingebrigtsen, and that was the focus for him. And anyone who saw the race will know that it was all about beating Ingebrigtsen, and he would have got the gold in his mind, because this is a statement he made in the build-up. He said they should be expecting one of the most vicious and hardest 1500s the sport has seen in a long time. I'm ready to go after it. I think we are there. I think we all are, talking about the whole field. There's been a lot of talking words over the last 12 months and even 2 years. He's clearly talking about Ingebrigtsen, and I'm just looking to settle that on Tuesday and give my best performance. Is he too focused on Ingebrigtsen? Well, the answer is probably yes, because he probably assumed, judging the brother race and judging what Ingebrigtsen ran this season with a 3:26, which is like the third fastest time ever, that was the feeling. I think his focus was on beating him, and then that would have got him gold. But obviously, we saw the race, and what a race it was! Wow. Do you want to? I mean, I want to talk about this as well. But let's start. I mean, let's talk about this race. Everything behind it, the build-up, the tension, what you expected, what we saw. Just it was a fantastic race, and the times were outstanding as well. Unbelievable, new Olympic record as well. Did you expect it? Everything is over to you, Fanfletics. Talk to us about this 1500 meters.
Well, first of all, the first thing to look at is the national record for Josh Kerr. Well done. You run a national record. You beat the guy that you're in a rivalry with when you come to a final, first job done. So I'm really happy about that. I'm proud of him. I think that was a good run in terms of the speed, the pace that he had at the end, in terms of his tactics. I think to use a horrible phrase when it comes to time like this, I think he did everything right for him. I think the problem is that when you start to have a rivalry with somebody, that rivalry can supersede what you're actually doing on the track, which is there to beat everybody in the line. And I think, this goes back a little bit to Keely Hodgkinson at the World Championships last year in the 800. She had worked out how to beat Athing Mu. She saw Athing Mu's style. They worked on each other, and she worked out how to beat her and how to hold her at bay. However, Mary Mora came down the inside, and they weren't ready for that. And I think that's a nice segue onto the 8 final, which we get to. But I think in this race in particular, Cole Hocker made a name for himself in 2019, 20, 21, or 2021, 22 in the NCAAs. He had that great rivalry with Cooper Tier. They're both Oregon Ducks. We watched them through the NCAAs, like battling it out, and then through the American different meets, battling it out for years now. So he's got that mentality of chasing, shoulder to shoulder with somebody week after week. So when he saw that gap, I think that gap for him was like, right, that tiny extra bit of adrenaline that was able to carry him down through the line. Ingebrigtsen was obviously moving out into almost into lane 2 to try and give everybody else extra distance to run around. I think he thought the only way he's going to beat Josh Kerr is if he moves him out a little bit more. And I think that was working, except that Josh Kerr's got extra pace on Ingebrigtsen. And a race of this speed, he's got extra pace on him. And I think that gave him the momentum. I did shout one guy out, and the Goose was definitely loose today. Now, the Goose nearly took Josh Kerr on the line, and I actually thought for a second that Josh Kerr had been bumped down to bronze. He's already got bronze, obviously, from Tokyo, so I didn't want him to get another one, at least silver. And the Goose did really well, sprinting down the home straight. They really put Ingebrigtsen to bed, and I think that we've worked out now that, unfortunately, Jakob Ingebrigtsen is a great runner when it comes to him and a pacemaker and the clock. But when it comes to him at a big event, if he's put under pressure by people that are faster than him, he doesn't have that little bit extra at the moment. And I think that might be to do with him moving up and concentrating on focusing more on the 5K. And that does happen to people's bodies. So maybe that's him. But really happy to see Nordas coming in the 7th. Really happy to see Aracy getting a national record. That was really cool for me. Bit disappointed with Chariot, disappointed with Neil Gawley a little bit, disappointed as well with Niels Lauros. He got a national record, but I did think he could, improve a few places on that 5th. But it was a great race, and I don't think the conversation is about Ingebrigtsen and Josh Kerr anymore.
Well, it was going into the final, and I think that you have your focus on one guy. I beat that guy, I'm probably going to win. And wow, that just shows you cannot sleep on other competitors, as we mentioned here with Karani James. We do the damn thing, saying here, amazing race, no doubt about it, bro, no doubt about it. Ingebrigtsen's arrogance, we discussed that for the approach to the race prevailed. He ran the race like he had a pacemaker, which destroyed his race strategy. No doubt about it. I agree with you there. We talk about that now. Josh made a great case for himself, saw an opportunity and took it. Amazing strategy. Obviously, they've been battling it head to head, but now there's a third man who's capable of competing and winning the gold just like that. It was an amazing race. And like you said, I wasn't, as you mentioned, Fanathletics, Ingebrigtsen looked shook. With about 300 meters to go down the back straight, he was looking. Is he there? Is he there? Focus on your race. Let's talk about this. Now, I think Ingebrigtsen, he done what he had to do. I think he had to make it the race hard. He had to go out there and push it. But just explain to us, because we were going this, why is it, you say to yourself, I've had this question asked me before, and I've tried my best to answer it to someone who doesn't know much about athletics. But why do you need a pacemaker? If you're going training, why do you need? What is the wind? Do you stand behind that? So is the wind's blocking it? Is it? Why do you need a pacemaker on the circuit to make you run fast times? Why can't you just go out there and just push yourself and run fast times? Because Ingebrigtsen was like a couple of seconds off his personal best, or a second or two off his personal best by taking it out. What is the issue with a middle distance runner going out like that with Ingebrigtsen? I know it doesn't happen that often. But what is the issue with it? Why can't he replicate what he does on the circuit?
I think there are a few issues here. I'm going to say 3, and other people would say 5. I'm sure people say 10. But for me, the things I always think about when I'm comparing people's races at a championship to when they're racing on the circuit with pacemakers, one of the main things I think about is having run the 1,500 meters a couple of times as a baby decathlete, I remember hearing our coach say, focus on the shoes behind, on the legs, on the feet of the person in front of you. Don't step on them, but focus on them and keep focused on them until you hit the point in the race where you need to start moving around them, or when you feel like you're going slower and start to move out at that point. I think what he's doing is, or what they do when they have a pacemaker, is they focus on the person in front. If they know that person in front is running a certain pace, then they don't have to focus on anything else. They just know that it's just that person and them at the moment. So just focus on that. The second thing I think with pacemakers, obviously there's that there's the wind blocking. That is just 100%. You get dragged.
That's not a myth.
No, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And that's why it's so hard when you're leading out a race like that, because you're in front. If you're in front, and when you're in front, you're that person taking all the wind. If the wind it's in your face. If it's a headwind, you're literally taking all of that extra drag off of the people behind you. You see it in I think, is it DRS in the Formula One? Don't embarrass myself, but I'm just going to leave it at that. But yeah, you see it in Formula One as well. In a lot of racing, it's important to have somebody in front of you for a while and then to come up on their shoulder when it's time for you to go. I think the third thing about having a pacemaker is, when you've got a pacemaker, you've got that pacemaker because they're there for you. You've discussed the race strategy with them. You discuss what you want them to do at what point, when you want them to go at what point. And so you'll see them often when they finish a really big race where they might record or come close to a PB, they'll go over and hug the pacemaker and they have a great little time hugging and chatting, because they've spoken about this and they focused on it. So when you've got a pacemaker, that's there for you and it's something for you to work on. So it's almost less a race with other people and more a race with yourself. So I think that makes it easier. When they're in races like this, I think we do the damn thing, said it right. Ingebrigtsen tried to pace his race himself. And I think without having that somebody in front of them, that comment right there, without having somebody in front of him, he was the pacemaker and he wasn't sure when it was time for the person to drop out in front of him, so then he can just go with it. Plus, he's had all that extra drag on him throughout the race that he might not normally have. And then on top of that, he's got the pressure of knowing that it was almost textbook to the last year's race when they got to that, 100 or 200 to go, 250 to go, when Josh Kerr was on his shoulder and coming round and hunting him. So I think Ingebrigtsen played it wrong today. He forgot to race his own race and he tried to race to beat somebody else. And I think that takes away from being the fastest person on earth when it comes to a championship, unfortunately for him.
Just to add as well, I mean, when I think about the greatest 1,500 meter run of all time, world record holder as well, Hicham El Garouj, he would wind it up a bit like Ingebrigtsen, wind it up from about 600 and gradually increase the pace slowly, and it would lose people. But anyone who did sort of hang with him towards the last 100 and had that kick, burden the Legat, for example, Noah, what's his name? Noah Nengai, or I forget his name, the other Kenyan guy who's the second fastest miler of all time. Then he's got worries. So I felt Ingebrigtsen had the right strategy, doing what El Garouj usually did, because El Garouj won world championships galore, and he just missed out on Olympics. Obviously, got tripped by Morsley in '96, and then in Sydney. Was it in 2000 he won it? No, or 2004 he ended up winning it after failures. So it shows you what a difficult race it is. But he's the sort of guy who would kick from 600, gradually increase his pace, and say to the other guys, if you can hang with me, then you deserve to win. But usually they couldn't. That was the issue. So El Garouj was a front runner, and I think Ingebrigtsen, Noah Enga, that's right. Thank you. We do the damn thing. But I think El Garouj had that in him to actually push up for 600, and usually he would come through. There's only a couple of times I saw him caught like that. So Ingebrigtsen, like you said, I think it's a great shout. Maybe for the 5,000, that's what he's more suited for now. He hasn't got the leg speed. A lot of these guys are would you say these guys now with the kick are more 800, probably have 800 meters times? There'll be 800 meters, sort of 1,500 meter runners, a bit like Sebco. And whereas Steve Ovett would have been a 1,500 meter stroke, 5,000 meter runner. There's a big difference, isn't there, in endurance and your kick and the speed that you can travel.
I'm sorry to cut you. I do think as well, particularly with the people that beat Ingebrigtsen, Nagus, Hocker, and Hobbs Kessler, these people are great milers as well. So when you think about coming to the end of the 1,500 meters, they've still got another 100 and maybe 30 odd or 20 something odd meters to go at their top speed. So they're actually hitting their top speed, or they can be hitting their top speed when it gets to the last few meters of the 150, of the 1500. And it's not to say that Jakob's not a great miler as well, but they're milers. So these people, they've got that endurance at the end, and I think he should have been able to hang with them better.
Yeah, he'd be disappointed. I mean, he gave a great interview afterwards where I thought, okay, fair enough. You got to have confidence in an athlete, and he's been a fantastic athlete for a long time now, and he's still standing. I mean, look, being the runner 326 this season showed he was in form. It's just like you say, the strategy is different from racing to having a pacemaker helping you get fast times. Major difference in that. And this is what sport's all about. What a wonderful, wonderful event that was. And congratulations to Cole Hocker, who really, for me, I mean, to kick like that, first of all, you have to be able to hang with these guys. And he did get, like, he tried, because of Ingebrigtsen tried to go wide, he saw a gap, and then he had to sort of regain his feet in again because he went to push, but he got squeezed in again. So he had to kick again, and he still had enough kick in him to come past. And I felt that once Josh Kerr had taken over Ingebrigtsen, that for him was gold. But he didn't anticipate on the guy coming on to his left. He must have seen him come through on his left-hand side and thought, oh my God, I didn't count for this. I just counted for Ingebrigtsen. I hadn't got the kick to go again to hang with this guy. And you could see the despair, knowing with like meters left that it was all going to be silver or maybe even bronze. As
maybe, yeah.
I mean, came in. What a race.
Josh Kerr's an NCAA racer as well. So, they're all out there. The top three here are NCAA racers. They've been racing throughout the season, this and last year, battling with each other. So they're really familiar with each other. Right? It's fun to see all three of them, cross the line for the medals.
No doubt about it. All right. Are we done with the 1500, guys? What a great race. I mean, the Olympics has not disappointed with some of these events so far. Magnificent. Well done. Take a bow, Cole Hocker. Olympic record as well. You can't do no more than that. Let's quickly just talk about yesterday. We saw her finally do it. You mentioned her earlier in the show, referring to the failures that she's had previously, trying to beat Mo and then getting beaten by Mary, the Kenyan girl.
Mary Moraa.
Mary Moraa. Yeah. So she's finally done it. Let's talk about the race strategy, how she went out, and how she managed it, the pressure, because she would have been under serious pressure yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally that was one of the best performances by Keely Hodgkinson in terms of her running her own race. I hate saying that phrase, I have to say it, but she ran her own race. She knew who the people were in her race. Renelle Lamotte had the crowd behind her, obviously French woman. Mary Moraa, she knew what she had to do too, and she did it pretty well. Naguma was the wild card in this race. I think she's won a couple of races this year, and she's really shown that she's able to be up there and to match the style of Mary Moraa in terms of running hard and staying hard and then controlling it towards the end. I think the best part of the race was that Keely ran around and she made sure that she stayed clear of them. And when she stayed clear of them, she put pressure on them. And they showed that in the end. Even Latoya Gould, she missed out by getting balked. I think she was balked by Naguma. They were all running, it seemed, for that second place. The pressure of Keely was undeniable at that point in the race. And it really showed in the strategies and the messing up of strategies of the other racers.
So I think Mary's tried to put some pressure on her as we came around the final bend, just to be on her shoulder. But she's held on, and she had an extra bit of kick she had to reserve. So we talked about front running with Ingebrigtsen, but Hodgkinson seems to want to front run. I know it's a different event, it's 800, but she wants to front run. What is the importance in the 800 of holding the lead? Is it to control and keep people out wide, or why do you think it's so important to have a strategy like that? Because when she's not in front, maybe she kind of falters.
Well, I think that the two times that she lost the race by more than a few millimeters or by more than a few centimeters were the Olympic final, the last Olympic final, and the World Championships last year. I think when she ran the World Championship in Eugene and came second to, I think when it was really close, I think she ran a great race. In the other two, she allowed somebody else to control the pace and then kick off when they wanted to. And I think in this race, you mentioned it, she was holding at the top bend. You could see that Keely Hodgkinson was holding. She was waiting because she knows that Mary Moraa's got a kick, but she also knows that Mary Moraa's uncomfortable behind her. and she's controlling the pace. And that's the only time you can beat Mary Morais, if you control the pace of the race, or you've just got blistering pace to finish her off at the end. And I think Mary Morais knew about the Guma as well, and she felt that coming, and that meant that she lost the silver rather than trying to run for the gold, because she had too much pressure from two different people around her, and Keely was gone. And when Keely broke at the top of the 100 meters, that was amazing. For me, it was like, right, all the fans, all the British fans, all the 800 fans were thinking, right, is she holding back? Does she have enough? Is she holding back? Does she have enough? And we knew once she kicked off that that was her plan and that she executed it beautifully. It was brilliant.
Yeah, magnificent. I mean, she's going to be the golden girl of athletics now, isn't she? I mean, I saw an interview with her and Kelly Holmes, who done a double some years ago, didn't she? And she smashed Kelly Holmes's record. She's magnificent right now. She's world leader. She's Olympic champion. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than this, really, does it? Do you think there's a risk that she could lose some sort of motivation now? You've reached the heights. What does it take now to kick you on? Because you can there's going to be loads of endorsement deals. She BBC Sports personality, sponsorships, all this kind of thing. Will this take away from the hunger? I can see how she got her hunger by missing out before, but do you expect her maybe to drop off now? What more can she achieve?
Well, I think it's important to ask that question, because you get a lot of champions who are one-time champions, and then what happens to them going forward can really dictate what happens to them for the rest of their career. You know, Omar McLeod gave a really great and really insightful, in-depth interview recently about how he felt that the Jamaican public and the Jamaican fans and the press didn't really rally around him in the same way that they were rallying around other people at the time, like their world champion from 2011, Johan Blake, like Usain Bolt, like even Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, VCB. He felt that he wasn't at the same echelon as them with winning, and it really affected the way that he continued to compete. He gave up a little bit, he moved around, and I think mentally it really affected him. He said it very clearly, and he was able to speak really maturely. I think with Keely, the difference is, and one thing that she's very lucky to have is, or are two things, Jenny Meadows and Trevor Painter. They've got a good crop of athletes there. Jenny Meadows, one of my favorite 800-meter runners herself. She's wicked. And yeah. And to see when I heard that she was going to be having some sort of input with her husband Trevor and in coaching Keely, I was really excited, because I thought that is a great support system to have. And I think they've got quite a few runners now as well from a few different countries. Jordy Beam, is he one of them? I know that they've got another British 800-meter runner. So they're really able to give them that hard coaching, that understanding and familiarity of another runner, and also the support of having been there and being able to coach them through the process. Also as well, Keely seems really smart, and she seems like she knows what's going on and what she needs to do. Her assessments of her races are better than anything that we can do, and I think that she knew what she had to do this time, and I don't think Athing Mo would have beat her if she was here today.
That's been said, yeah. But Athing Mo is also a front runner and controls races.
Yeah.
So that would have been interesting. We want to see that head-to-head if she's going to continue to compete on the 800, because it seems like she was going for 1,500 meters as well. She's going to look to do the double with Athing Mo. I don't know what's going on with her, but it would have been nicer, sweeter for me if she would have beaten Athing Mo as well in this field. But there you go, she's the champion, and in the UK, I think that's really good for athletics. She's female, she pleasing on the eye, as they'd say, and she will get good sponsorships. We're going to see her all over the media now, I imagine. But I just want her to keep that hunger, because I think she could run close to like Pamela Jalimo or Semenya or something like that. She could get down. I've seen her run a 155 or 154. I think she can get her time down. So for the rest of the season, I'd like to see her compete in the fast race and show us what she's really got without the pressure of medals and that kind of thing. But well done, Keely Hodgson. That was a great race. Let's go to the comments quickly. Going back to what we said about Ingrid Richardson, we do damn things saying here. Ingrid Richardson is used to taking a race out of other athletes by taking them to deep waters. Today, we saw Ingrid Richardson being taken into deep waters. You got to come on the show, bro.
He's not always to say from behind his keyboard. Come on the show and say that, innit?
Hodgson executed a great strategy, says we do damn thing. Her race was expensive. Say that for me, please, because my lips are dry.
Exemplary?
Exemplary, yes. I have watched this race 5 times, and I hate to say it, but it was punch perfect. Why do you hate to say it? It's wonderful, 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 wonderful. All right, let's get on to the British girls. As you can see below, guys, Asher Smith and Nita miss out as Thomas takes the 200-meter title. You can see it going across the screen at the bottom there. Yeah, see it right there coming across the screen. I
All
put
right.
that the main story because it was the event of the night, the 200 meters after the 1500. What a race that was. Let's just talk about this. We have the 100 meters champion. You have Gabby Thomas, who was probably favourite. The two British girls just missing out as well, once again. And Ophil, the Nigerian girl. Let's look at the result. 21.83. I think it was going into headwind. Yeah, it was going into headwind. Just talk us through this race because Dina Asher-Smith and Darren Nita, not their personal bests, but just missing out on the medals once again. What did you think of the race tonight? Julian Alfred, what do you think about her form on the bend? And Gabby Thomas, congratulations. She was delighted at the end.
Yeah. It was. I thought it was a. I don't want to say it was a great race. It was a great, ending to a race. It was definitely an amazing ending. It was really good. There were some important points to talk about. Dina Asher-Smith holding her form towards the end of the race. I thought that was decent. She didn't hold it, at the same level as she's been holding it before, but she's holding it to say that she's better today than she was yesterday. And if you're going to be going through the rounds at a major championship, I want to see improvement if you're not at your best. And I think Dina's shown that. She's going to be disappointed, and she has shown that she's disappointed. But I don't think that this is a bad ending to her individual journey here. Daryl Nita, that was an amazing finish for her. It was an amazing finish. She showed some great pace at the end. She showed that as a 200-meter runner, she's able to not get panicked when she's in 6th, 7th place coming off the bend. She comes off the bend, she slows down a little bit, she picks up again, and she's able to run through and pick up paces towards the end. Now, this doesn't tell the whole story. It says she's 5th, but she crossed the line neck and neck with Brittany Brown and Dina Asher-Smith. It was on the lean. Daryl had the momentum, but she leaned standing up. Brittany Brown, she was more ragged. She ended up lower. Dina Asher-Smith was running straight up. But the whole story is that those three crossed the line really close to each other. And favourite Philly as well. She wasn't far off. So I think it was a really good ending to the race. For me, especially with a British focus, I'm really pleased with where Daryl Nita's trajectory has taken her. Dina Asher-Smith, I'm really pleased that she seems to be coming back to something of her best. And I think that going forward, our relay is going to be sick. So let's see.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, the relay, when I saw this result. As soon as the race had finished, I thought, okay, two British girls in there. We're going to have a strong team, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Clearly, the Americans and Jamaicans might be favourites, but yeah, time for a medal with the relays. But yeah, once again, Dina Asher-Smith is a world champion. We can't forget that. But when she did win, wasn't a great time. I think when she won the world championship, it was maybe just under 20 under 22 seconds. But I don't think she's run 21.83. I don't believe she's ever run that sort of time. And I think if you are going to compete in 100 or 200, both Dina and Daryl need to really think about getting for the 100s, 10.8s, 10.7s, and for the 200, getting into running under 22 seconds. That's what you have to do to be able to medal at these big events. And even though there's a wind here, it wasn't the fastest time by second and third, you still have to perform at that sort of level consistently. And I just don't see Daryl Nita. She's got the build, she's got the hard work ethic as well. But yeah, I think she's peaking. So sometimes you have to be happy by maximizing your complete potential. And I think with Daryl Nita, I think she's doing that right now. Just going back to Dina Asher-Smith, what went wrong for her in the 100? And she's not informed this year, is she? Has she had any issues that you know about, injuries or sort of setbacks?
Well, I mean, I know last year, particularly, and towards the end of the year before, obviously, she went through a lot of that controversy around, the training setup. And obviously, she's moved out. I think she's with Coach Flo now. So, she's in a different setup. And I think that she's rebuilding. And I definitely think that she's running slightly differently. And I think that she's running a bit stronger. The problem is that that's coming off her dipping in form, and she's coming back off of a dip, back off of some injuries, some uncertainty around the last few championships. So I think with her, I'm interested to see what happens next because both of them are very young and she still potentially has LA as her peak. and I think, potentially LA as a peak. I think that'd still be within her area if she can maintain that training setup, come out and win a few more medals. With Daryl, I think that her trajectory is still going up. I don't think she's fully peaked yet. I think that she's got a chance to maybe nail the focus on one or the other. I still think she's a great 100-meter runner. She proves that when she picks up the baton with 105 meters to go and, runs down at home straight for us time after time at, championship finals in the relay. And I think that other than Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, Darrenita hasn't been beaten that many times on the fly at the end of a relay. So we're looking at potentially two girls who are going to carry our relay team forward, and that will give them the impetus to perform individually as well. And I think Daryl has the hunger. She's now got the coaching set up. I think Dina's moved. She's rebuilding her training. I think maybe this Olympics was a year too early, or maybe Tokyo next year is the time that we really want to see them doing, the best that they can do, or starting to peak and starting to level off at their top level. And I think that when you said about the relays with Jamaica, I don't think we have to worry about them as much this year. Depends who's running. And you're looking at America, I think that we've got a great chance this year. Bianca Williams running the best that she's ever run or the best that she's run for years, 5 and 6 years plus in the rounds at this championship as well. So, I'm really excited about where this leaves us for that. And I'm hoping this is a building phase for our individuals.
Okay, just quickly going back to the comments, We Do Damn Thing said this is an underwhelming final. However, the fight for bronze was great. As you can see here, look, 22.24 in sixth place compared to 22.22. So 400ths of a second between a medal and sixth place. Fantastic. What does Dina Asher-Smith's legacy look like? I just want to touch on this before I come to you, Fanathletics. I think she's the golden girl of British sprinting. She's taken it on, and to win a world championships in 200, I think that I haven't seen anything like that since Kathy Cook, who to me was the greatest sprinter that Britain have ever produced, and still. So for me, to this day, I think she's still behind Kathy Cook, despite her winning a world championship. Kathy Cook was outrageously good, could run 100, 200, and 400, and just clean, good girl, tall and strong, and was competing against East Germans and Marita Cox and all these girls back in the day. But without that, I think she would have medalled more often. And I think she's Britain's greatest sprinter. So for me, Dina Asher-Smith would go down a legacy as a world champion. That's great. I think she holds the 100-meter national record, maybe the 200 record as well. Maybe she's just taken that from Kathy Cook, I believe. But for me, she can't be above Kathy Cook, but she's raised the standard and shown that you can compete as a Brit in world sprinting, even though she's never really going to win gold at the 100 when everyone else is there, or the 200 when most of the competitors are there. She was very fortunate when she won the world championship. That I think it was Brittany Brown was in that race, possibly.
Yeah.
Come second. Yeah, that's right. So very fortunate to win that, and lucky that Sharika wasn't there, or Gabby Thomas, or any of these girls, or her training partner now, Julian Alfred, who I felt, just going back to the race, ran a terrible bend. It's like 2 races for her: get to the 100, get to the bend, adjust, and then kick again, and that's not good enough. Legacy. We Do Damn Thing wants to talk about legacy. What do you think about Dina Asher-Smith's legacy? What's it looking like for you?
I think slightly differently to you. I don't think her legacy is finished yet, and I want to see what she does now after she's moved her coaching setup, because there've been a lot of things going on behind the scenes with Dina over the last few years. And I don't like to talk about negativity. I like to just talk about what's going to push people on, but that does have an effect on people. And I think that when she was the greatest British sprinter alive, I think that was the time when really things started to go wrong for her outside of the sport. And I think that curtailed her rise. Also, you have people talking about how Sherika pulled up in the semi and wasn't in the final, and that's why Dina won in 2019, which, by the way, was an amazing championships overall, and it was great for her to win something. But I think that she can improve, and I want to see what happens, because, as I said, she hasn't reached full peak age yet. I think she can improve. I'm happy to see her move the coaching setups. That coaching group is amazing already. So what can she do? Then again, also, if you're in a coaching setup and you're a former world champion and everyone's faster than you on the 2, what does that do to you as well? So that's another thing. But in terms of legacy, she won the World Championships. No one else was there that day that could beat her, so she won it. And she's a multiple European champion as well. She's the British record holder. I think is it 21.83? Is it? She's a British record over the two. I think that she's there have been others, Daryl Nita, Desiree Henry, people that have come up and around, Asher Phillip, Amy Hunt now. But Dina Asher-Smith for the last 10 years has been our top runner. So we can't take that away. I think Christina Horrigu is the best female sprinter, British sprinter of all time. But that's because of what my views on the four. But definitely, I think her legacy at the moment is she's won us medals. She's also a double Olympic champion, a double Olympic bronze medalist over the 4x1. So we can't count out the fact that she's got Olympic medals, she's got World Championship medals, she's got European medals, multiple British titles. So I think she thinks she should be at her peak now. And I think that's where the mental negativity is. But she's still going to be our top runner if she wants to be. And if Daryl doesn't continue improving like that by the time it comes to Tokyo. So the legacy's not done.
Well said, well said. We do Dan Ting, who actually asked a question. He said, well said, guys. I agree with you both. I'm fearful she could fall into the category of what have you done for me lately in years to come. You got to have a J-O-B. If you want to be with me, what have you done for me lately, Eddie? Big up to you, We Do Dan Ting. Big up to everybody who's watching. That was a little roundup of the last couple of days. Obviously, the 400s I'm looking forward to. 800 men's going to be amazing as well. There's so much more to come. I wish this week would last forever, don't you?
It could if they did it right. But no, I'm joking. I think this is it's one of those weeks that you really look forward to. I'm so glad the Olympics maintains its 4-year interval because it's really something to build towards. World Championships are great and they're fun and they focus on athletics, but the Olympics, there's just something special about that. And I think that this one, so far, it's not underwhelming. It's living up to it. We've still got some great battles to come. We've got the 4s to come, which I'm really excited about. We've got 4 hurdles, which everybody's really excited about.
God, yeah.
We've got the relays as well. I think that this week, they get the sprints out of the way early, and that's great. But you know what? It's not over.
Just quickly, just to touch on this result from last night, the 5,000 women. It was a great race. And let's talk about, obviously, we see the result there, gold, silver, and bronze. But Stefan Hassan, she's doing a treble this year, but it's a bit of a difficult one, I'd say. She's doing the 5,000, the 10,000, and the marathon. And then you've got the world record holder, the 1,500. You've got silver there. She's doing the 1,500 and the 5,000. She got the silver and the 5,000. What do you think about competing in various events? If the schedule's not up, how can you do that? Because I think she's doing the 10,000 meters, Hassan, and then on the 9th, she's doing the marathon. How can you give yourself the best chance of winning? Should she have really ran this race in the 5,000? She wasn't. I don't think she was ever going to be gold medal contender. What do you think about these guys trying to double up or triple up in Hassan's case?
I think we talk about sprints a lot because that's where a lot of people, their excitement is. Today, we live in a TikTok generation where people want to see 15 seconds bang. But when we talk about Stefan Hassan, she attempted one of the greatest feats ever. I think it was the World Championships where she went for the 3, and it was a really amazing race. The fact that she fell was really devastating for athletics fans because it was on, the treble was on. And I think that now this is a better treble for her. Her 1,500 pace is gone. And she was one of the best. Remember, we're like literally benefiting from being in the richest period of female distance running that there's ever been. We've just come off the Dababas running track. Gonzava Dababa, when we'd see her running around that track in the 1,500 meters, sometimes paces have been left behind, sometimes just at the beginning of the wave light technology, leaving those behind. Faith Kipyegon now, Stefan Hassan battling both of them at different times in her career. We really are seeing an amazing group of athletes. And when you think about Beatrice Chebet, I called her as the winner of this race only because I've seen her top speed in the 5K. And I know that Faith Kipyegon's prowess is in the 15. But if you're remember, she took the 5K world record, and she had it briefly before Sergey took it. These people are 1,500 meters runners who have to run that after having run an extra 2,500. So they're like, or 3,500. So they're great runners, but if you've got somebody that's trained to run it at that speed at the end of a 5K, at the end of a 10K, that person's likely to win. And I think with Beatrice Chebet, I think Faith Kipyegon is a great sprinter when it comes to the end of a race like that. But Chebet's better. And I think she's been better over the last few races that I've seen her in. So I did see that being the result. I wasn't sure where Hassan would come, but I'm really happy that she got a medal, because if you're going to attempt something like this, I'm sure you want silverware. So I'm glad that, or metalware. So I'm glad that she's got, a medal from it. She's strong, though, really strong. And Mo Farah taught us, back in the day when he would talk, at length about how much he's running. He'd run how many miles every day, how many miles every day, how many miles every week. So for Hassan, she might be running this to touch up her speed for the marathon, because I think she's the second fastest marathon runner of all time now as well. So
yeah, you're right. Yeah, good shout.
This is part of her hard training just before a race. So good luck to her. I'm happy.
Great stuff. Yeah, you're totally right on that. I do agree with you totally on that. So good luck to her doing that treble. Maybe she will win the marathon. Who knows? But apparently the marathon course is quite hilly.
Yeah.
Doing a traditional route. Some do history where it's going to be gradients like that and then gradients like that. So good luck to Sam, who's a bit wobbly, I think, with her legs. If she can handle that. I don't know. It's going to be tough, but I'll be looking forward to that. Don't forget, we'll be back in the next couple of days with Fanathletics. Let's just plug your what you're doing, Fanathletics. What's your plan with this? Because this is a great opportunity for you to plug things and also get people behind you, because you're going to do some great things in the future.
Listen, I keep saying it, and there's not a lot happening right now because my full focus is watching this Olympics. I took time off work for this because I wanted to make sure my focus was there, and I didn't have to come running home from a shift or be thinking mind drifting away. So I took this time out because I really want to craft a little bit, and I'm enjoying it. It's giving me ideas about what to do over the next year. There is that fallow period once we hit the end of the Diamond League where there's just not really much going on athletics wise until we hit cross country, and then after that we have to wait until the indoor, and then we wait again. So I really want to find a way to fill that space, and I think that there are athletics clubs all around. We live in West London. There's plenty of athletics clubs around. I'm going to be looking for people to speak to interview predictions for the next year or so, looking at some up and coming runners, because that Clayton sister that was in the final, I've been watching her for like the last 8 years, and to see Tia Clayton in an Olympic final, and she's got a twin who's as good as her almost. You watch those people from really early. In the Goose, we were seeing him at the NCAAs 4 or 5 years ago, or 4 years ago. So, when these athletes start and when they start to push ahead of their age group, competitors, that's when they start to catch your eye. And if you can look at those people then and follow their careers through until they reach, the pinnacles like now, even if it only does take a couple of years, like Keely Hodgkinson, that's something really to be savoured. So I'm going to be on the lookout for, the people for the LA games and the 2032 games and the 2036 games. I want to know who those people are going to be, and I want to know early and bring it to you guys. So
I'll tell you something with athletics as well. It's not like we're covering boxing. Boxers, going to interview boxers could be difficult, sometimes, but I think athletes are the most lovely people in sports. Yeah. They always seem to be such beautiful personalities, great team ethic. And if you go, I've got a club near me, Perivale Ealing Athletics Club, and you go there, it's just, they're very warm and welcoming, and it's great to do some sort of to capture some footage and do some interviews with these athletes, and just get to understand what they go through throughout a winter to get to reach peak condition for one night. And that's what's happened when you win your gold. Honourable shout out to Mackenzie long jump performance, no doubt about it. We did touch on that. Honourable shout out to Rogers as well for the hammer throw win.
Yeah, Cameron Rogers, yeah.
5th attempt, by the way. And hopefully we see you. We do the damn thing if Fanathletics gets in touch and sorts this out, no doubt.
I told him where to come. He's got the link. I told him where to come, but he's got a lot of mouth behind the keyboard. I want to see some trousers on the screen. Let's go, bring it.
All right, you don't have to show your face, by the way. You can always come with a blank screen or something. We're not forcing people to come, but we like people with knowledge, we like people who know the game, and you're always welcome. You've always got a seat with us because we've got a connection, all three of us, haven't we? We're not going to say it, but we all know each other. Anyway, on that note, thanks again, Fanathletics. Big up to you. Hopefully, we'll see you in a couple of nights to do another roundup of the Olympic Games. But for now, let me just set this up because it's the highlight of any show that we do. What is it, Fanathletics?
It's the intro / outro.
The outro. Check this out. God bless, and we'll see you in a couple of nights.